Right, it's a pleasure. I'm glad Tim talked me into coming up here.
It's nice to talk to the older people in the business,
and
they have more
we're the same age, so. And
so I grew up with Steinhart and Walter Moskowitz's name in my tattoo life, and is one of their sons.
I'm Walter's son, Valerie Stein's nephew.
And he came up here to my surprise, and we all know the same people, so it's kind of cool being around someone my age that was in the business and still is in the business.
And you called your brother.
And I had to call my brother because I never thought Steinhart and Walter had kids in the business or kids at all, and I didn't know Marvin was even here.
And your brother remembers me
breaking
in the store.
My brother Frog, when he was breaking in, he was there with my old man visiting. So that was kind of cool.
You were talking about Jack Dracula. My memory goes back to the 60s when I was a little kid, and he was working for my uncle, Steele's father. And I took a look. He was a giant, 6'5" at the taller, and if my father didn't grab my hand, I'd still be running down Flatbush Avenue to this day. And I got a grudge against him. This fucking guy was making these beautiful life-size cutouts of all the Warner Brothers, Daffy Duck, this. I'm a little kid, I'm 7 years old, I want one, I start crying. My father offered him $20 a piece and the fuck wouldn't sell him one. Oh, fuck Dracula.
When I met Jack, we were going to look for a shop, me and the old man, and Philadelphia Eddie was going to open it up for us, actually, finance it for a piece of the action, of course. And we stopped and visited Jack, and so when I met him, he was already tattooed up. He had that hearse with the coffin in the back. He was a kind of weird cat. But when we left there, talking to my old man about him, I think his daughter died and he kind of wigged out. That's when he tattooed his face up and stuff. That's what I know about Jack Dracula.
Yeah. Story my father used to tell me, because him and my uncle were tight with Dracula at one time. In fact, my uncle put that eagle on his chest, and some of those, like had Frankenstein and Dracula on them. But they used to go on the subway, and Dracula had a full-length overcoat with a hood. They go on the subway, and they wait till some unsuspecting guy's in. They sneak up on him, and the guy turned around and see this giant and like a Grim Reaper looking at him. But you had a little advantage over me. You went to a low. My father and uncle were in a mindset they were thrown out in New York City, so they went to Long Island and they sat there.
They stayed there, but everybody knew their name, even if they didn't know them.
And to them, any publicity was bad, because they were the mindset they could be out of business.
Well, back in them days when New York got closed up, for them, it was legal far enough out where they were. So if you wanted a tattoo, you went to Coney Island Freddie or Steinhart and Walter.
Yes.
So they had the name, and I met him when I was very young, and I met him later on when I got on my own and stuff. They were legends, just like my old man.
Yes, they brought your father up numerous times.
Oh, yeah,
I was a kid, I don't remember what they said, but I remember the name Sailor Bonnie all the time.
Yeah, all the New York guys, the Greco brothers, Charlie Wagner, he helped my old man a lot. Charlie Wagner was noted for spitting shoe polish. When he ran out of black ink, he used to use that Higgins drawer, and when he ran out, he used a wax can of shoe polish. He used to shine your shoes. He spit in it, emulsify it a little bit, and that's what he used. He did a big clipper ship on my father's arm, and it faded out naturally, but it was Charlie Wagner. You never got those old guys. Even I got a lot of work from guys that are dead. I'd never touch them up. If I didn't get them finished, that's the way they stay.
My father and uncle used to tell me in later days, Wagner would be asleep on the bench in his shop. Guys would come up, "Hey Charlie, how you doing? Haven't seen you." And you just look at them, give them the heave-ho, and turn over and go back to sleep.
He was
a character.
He was definitely a character.
He's the guy that started my family.
This banner behind us, which was on the Saturday Night Evening Post, that's supposed to be Charlie Wagner. The tattoo artist, liquor bottle in one pocket, scissors, and they had a bucket that's not in this particular painting. They used to use a sponge, so the bucket was full of blood, and they dipped the sponge in and wash off the arm, and then pat it dry with tissues. We used to use tissues. Nobody uses the tissues no more because the little fuzz that comes out, they want the paper towels.
Yeah. They're overregulated today.
Overregulated.
Nobody caught nothing in those days. No gloves, the same needle.
1 year in Syracuse, the State Fair, the help man had nothing to do with tattooing. My old man knew them every year and tried to promote, get some kind of regs on it. And so we're out west, and we stopped at this yard sale, as it were, junk store. And they didn't know what it was. It was a big little round Castle sterilizer, a big brown one. And so my old man was cooking spaghetti in it. And the help man come out, "Hey Bernie, you got a sterilizer finally." And like I said, they didn't want nothing to do with tattooing. And my old man literally broke out in a sweat. And I hope they don't want me to open it up to see what I was sterilizing.
They did stories on the old Bowery. My father and uncle, they opened it up, the health inspector, and they were trying to put it out. There was Chinese food. I don't know if it was the Greco brothers or who it was. They opened it. They did dry heat sterilizer. There was a couple of lobsters in it.
The old dry place.
So
I tattooed a guy for a brand new one.
Did you?
Up in the other room. I think they were made to do French toast.
Different days, different times. Tattooing is too easy today.
Well,
they don't have to make needles. They don't have to mix ink. You mix ink. I mix ink. How many times you get blackheads? You squeeze them, and it's the color of the ink you mix.
The ink was such a fine powder that it got in the air. And I used to mix like an ounce of blue 4-to-1 with white, and I used a little like a plastic body and fender thing that they smear the mud on in a shoebox. And do it like mortar till it got all consistent. And you're not realizing, you clean up, it's a powder, no bad. And I had a white couch in my shop, a leather couch. And I cleaned it up, and a month or so later, my sister-in-law came in with white jeans. She sat on the couch, and she walked out with blue marks. And I alcoholed that couch down and everything.
It never gets out.
That blue, I mean, like you said before, you blow your nose for a couple of days after.
And you're blowing the color out.
And the color.
And no matter, I used to wear almost like a spacesuit with filters and stuff.
I take off my t-shirt, I blue armpits.
Yeah, but today they don't have to do that.
Everything's store-bought today.
Yeah. They don't have to work to be a tattoo artist.
Yeah. But when I apprentice people, the first thing, other than being a shopper, go fetch stuff, clean up, empty the trash, I always teach them to draw a flash first. That gives them that style, put that style in their brain, so that they know a rose is red, or back in the day, they were all red. Roses are red, leaves are green, maybe a little yellow highlight, and it gave them the style.
Yeah.
And then everybody thinks different, so their artwork was a little offset of mine, just like I was offset of my old man's in the beginning.
You had to make your own needle bars back then.
Solder needles, and you use the same needle. A needle is round and pointy, and from rubbing in and out of the tube, it got sharp.
Yes.
That's when you throw them out.
Yes.
You outline and made a double line, time for the needle to go.
Yeah. And if you were lucky, you were able to do maybe 5, 6 tattoos, sometimes more out of the same one.
Well, we're at the fairs, we did a lot more than that on them.
six flats to do a giant chest piece.
6 flat, 5 round, that was all that was.
And some of those guys back then with the 6 flat did a giant chest piece or back piece, and half the time these guys with all this flat and stuff did today.
Well, you gotta go back to basics. Even these kids today, if they don't want to learn the past,
they don't. Nobody's interested.
I see people, good people, I don't know how they do it. One kid that traveled with me the last few years, I was doing a lot of traveling. Kick-ass tattoo artist, he's young, Chris Powell, and he likes coloring with 8 rounds. But to me, 8 rounds is traumatizing the skin awfully. And it's just constant little circles in the same area. You get to a big piece, and man, what I could do in an hour, he's taking 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
But he pounds that color in.
Yeah.
You know? So for him that works, but his machine is turned up, sounds like a jackhammer.
I watch some of these guys at the conventions. They'll work on one guy for a tattoo, maybe, from shoulder to elbow for 2 days on a thing. And I think my my uncle still does the conventions. He tattoos for 10 hours straight, one after another at 83 years old. But you watch these guys, my father be rolling in his grave. Well, why are you doing 2 days on
I remember watching Sailor Moses. God knows how many hits of acid he was on. His eyes was literally rotating. He did all the Star Trek characters on this guy's leg. The convention closed up, and he got permission to stay in the room, because security, to finish it up. And he did it all at once, and the guy won an award that weekend. I forgot what convention it was. Beautiful, beautiful portrait. Jack Rudy was like kind of the first guy with portraits.
Yeah.
And I think Sailor Moses was around him. I don't know how he got it, but he was a kick-ass portrait guy.
Yeah.
That's when it was special. Everybody does portraits.
Yes.
Whether they're good or bad.
Used to be guys were one and only. Now they're one of 1,000.
Right, exactly. There's New Mexico. I'm bad with names. He worked with Jack Rudy. He did a portrait. And he won an award over Jack Rudy. Jack didn't like that. And then there was this guy from Austria, young kid, blonde hair. Again, I'm bad with names. Never did a portrait in his life. Well, he came to the States because over there, you hit a certain age, either you go to college or you apprentice, like a machinist or some carpenter or whatever. Or you got to go to some school or something. Or you go to the military. You don't have a choice. So he came to the States to learn to be an apprentice tattoo artist. Well, he showed us more than we showed him. So we watch, I don't know if it was Jack Rudy or the guy from New Mexico. I can't think of his name. I said it, didn't know it. That night he went up and did Einstein on this guy's leg. Again, acid, he had leather pants on all weekend. European, they don't do what we do as far as health. And he was burnt out. He stayed up all night. This portrait looked like he could talk to you. And he won over Jack Rudy. Jack Rudy had, he was first, so he was the namesake of portraits.
Yeah, but some of the work they do today, you want to put your machine right in the garbage can.
Well, most of them.
Yeah.
Without knowing real figures, for every one good guy, there's probably 50
to 80
shitheads.
Of course.
This little town that I'm living in, this shop is just spending money for me. I'm kind of retired. And there's 4 other people. We have one blinking light. The firehouse is the biggest building here. And me and the restaurant. This is the whole town and the post office.
Listen, I'm used to Monticello being
There's 4 people tattooing out of the houses.
Really?
Two of them are pedophiles in the same trailer park.
Really?
And one of them, I tattooed him for all his equipment. He had 2 of those cheap kits you buy. And I tattooed his old lady. Well, this cat did. And we got all his equipment just to not have it out.
Yeah, I do that.
Even these days you can buy equipment every day if you want to keep doing it.
Even if it's the cheap $10
I just do it to get it off the
machines,
street.
I take it from them. I give them 5, 10.
I built my machines when I had Tat Cat supplies. It cost me roughly $50. Any machine I ever built. You get these Chinese, they sell machines for $10, $12. You can't even buy a set of coils for that.
No.
And I had a place, Taptronics, make my coils. They do all electrical, and they have all Chinese, Japanese workers there. And they hand wind the coils. There's no machine for it.
And we used to, when we had the supply business, we had a guy on Long Island make the coils. We had the frame sinkers. In those days, my father and uncle were busy tattooing 20, 30, 40 guys a piece.
Yeah.
And I was busy.
Well, we had Long Island, Brooklyn soda.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when I was a kid, they were all going out to Long Island to get tattooed.
They didn't have time to handcraft everything.
My old man, when he was building them Colson machines, he took a pencil sharpener and he welded it like a hobby. And he put a bolt in the same size as your coil screw. And he put the centerpiece with the 2 fiber pieces, and he hand wired just. So I was down in Key West, me and Cat scuba divers. We went into this dive shop, fishing shop for air tanks, filling. And they were doing fishing poles. Well, they had a machine, kind of like what the old man was doing, and it puts the string, the little eyes on the fishing pole, and it turned the whole pole, and it went like a sewing machine bobber back and forth. I told my old man about it, so he took a Singer sewing machine motor and made the same thing, but he still had to feed it by hand.
Yeah.
But he had a foot pedal, variable speed, and he loved doing that stuff. The old man was, he liked drawing flash. It was the last few years of his life, he drew a lot of flash. And he stopped like riding a bike. When he was 40, he was an old man.
Yeah, it was a different age.
Yeah, he just flash, constantly drawing flash. And then he got into the coastal machine business, and he liked tinkering, and he'll pull up to somebody's shop and make a custom machine for him. And
well, the reason we went
kept
into
busy.
the supply business, and Crazy Eddie went into the supply business, is because I'm trying to monopolize it.
He did a pretty good job,
Yeah.
too.
He worked for my grandfather in the late 40s when he broke in. He was, like you said, he was a carnival guy. He made smells for different hunting
Yep.
people and fishing lures and all kinds of stuff.
Buck lure is just urine out of a buck.
Yeah.
And the hunters sprinkle it out, and there's money in everything. I have a neighbor that had a deer up
There's
there.
money in it today if you want to.
He did taxidermy, so he had a special permit to keep a deer in captivity, even during hunt season. And he trained it like a dog. It sat down, it gave you its paw. I forget the deer's name, but my granddaughter always went over. She'd come into town and go over and pet whatever the deer's name was. And he just had it put down a couple years ago. So a big monster rat. We trained it to piss in this little shack, which had galvanized floor
And
into a
it
funnel
collected.
into like an old milking bucket.
Sheep.
He put it in little bottles with his own label to sell it to all the hunting shops, fishing shops.
There's a gimmick for everything.
Says he does a couple thousand a year doing that.
Pretty soon they'll have a robotic arm to do the tattoos.
Well, when this laser stuff came around, I said someday it's just going to be zip, done, finished.
I'm glad I'm at the tail end of this business.
Well, you know,
Too many frauds, too many phonies.
all the different styles, everybody has their own style, and all the black and gray and all this other stuff when it first came out. And when the portrait came out, I said, where's it going to go after that? I mean, if you know what John Wayne, and that's John Wayne, how better can it be after that?
Yeah.